Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet. It's time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea and sit back while we chat about what is happening in the stars above for the weekend. I can't believe the weeks fly by, don't they? And we have a very quiet weekend, which I kind of like. We've had, except the fact that it makes it harder for me to find topics to talk about in the morning. It seems like we need some integration time, doesn't it? Because so much has been going on over, geez, like since what was it, April, May, when everything started changing abruptly, and we had a whole host of things to talk about, which meant, a lot of changes in our lives as individuals, but also a whole lot of, you know, um, transformational possibilities. And sometimes it makes it uncomfortable for us, and other times we were just going with the flow. So as we're moving now into autumn, if you're in the northern hemisphere, things are calming down somewhat, but that might be a little bit deceptive because there are still running behind the scenes some very powerful aspect patterns and configurations. For example, the minor grand trine, which is still operating beneath the surface and waiting for the right moment to bring up new innovations, new ideas, new ways of being that follow along the lines of Pluto and Aquarius. And Pluto and Aquarius being the sign of humanity, or Pluto in Aquarius bringing that up, this idea of people and gathering and people power versus power to the governments and institutions that we are all a part of in the world. So while we are maybe today and over the weekend not having, a mad dash of astrology type things happening, it gives us time to really sink into maybe some of the bigger changes going on behind the scenes. So this morning, though, we do have the new Human Design Week to talk about. And in the new Human Design Week, right, we have the Earth and the Sun in a new configuration, which means that it brings up to us new energies, or new things to think about or work through. And this week we enter this dance between judgment and vision. That seems to be the theme that we'll be working through. And let's explore what that means for you through your own human design. This will be a good time to have your human design chart out and ready for you to look at. Now, near everyone is going to be impacted this weekend by the changing Human Design Week, and that's partly because earlier in the week, Jupiter moved into the gate 62, the gate of preparation, and now with Earth moving into gate 17, we have an entire channel called the Channel of Formulation activated. So let me take a quick moment to share my screen so you all can see visually what it is that is going on. Oh, wrong screen. There we go. Okay, perfect. So here we have the human design chart, and these energy centers are not all defined. I just define them by color so that you can see more clearly what's happening. So up here in the Ajna Center is the gate 17. This is where the Earth is sitting right now. And the sun starting its move now through the Spleen Center at the gate 18, called the gate of realignment. And by the way, the 17 called the gate of called the gate of anticipation in quantum human design, but the gate of opinions in traditional human design. So let's start with the gate 18, because now we start this 7-week journey of the sun moving through the spleen center. And I'm going to share a QR code with you shortly here that will take you to that video if you didn't get to join me live on Wednesday, where I really dove into, what is the energy of the spleen, but also what does it mean as the sun keeps moving through these different spots on your human design template. Now, the gate 18 shines a spotlight on what isn't aligned, both in your own lives, in what you observe in others, but also what we see happening in the outer world. And the shadow here, the shadow is the energy of judgment and nitpicking, criticism, over and now analyzing. And it can be that inner voice that tells you or others that you're not enough, that you're not good enough, that your work isn't good enough, that it can't possibly be this easy. You've got to do more, right? But when we can soften the judgment in the gate 18, you discover the gift of integrity. And this is the ability to see what needs realignment, but without tearing it down or tearing down someone else, right? Because this can work both ways. It could be you doing this, in your own self, and or it could be you doing this in relationship with others, but also others doing this in relationship to you. I mean, you're listening to me chat this morning about this, so you're like already prepped to, start thinking about, well, what am I doing in terms of judgment and criticism and so forth? But others aren't listening, so they may not even have an inkling about why it is that they're feeling nitpicky or judgmental. Now, in its highest expression, the gate 18, right here on the spleen center, um, reveals perfection. And the truth is that everything in this moment already holds divine order. And that's because the spleen center is about the now moment, that everything is in perfection in the now. Or, that doesn't mean that in the next minute it won't be different. It doesn't mean that in the next day it won't be different. It just means that right here, sitting today in this moment, everything is fine. Everything is in divine order. Now, collectively, gate 18 has always been linked to reform energy. It's where we see broken systems, the healthcare system, the justice system, the education system, the healthcare system. Or, I mean, I already said healthcare, but on and on, the systems, right? The government. And then we want to fix them. This isn't just personal work, then. This is also cultural work. This is societal, on the societal level as well. Now, when we look at the Earth up here in the gate 17 is called anticipation. Sometimes we also call this the gate of opinions. It really is a part of the scientific method, right? It's where we form a hypothesis, or we form, an idea that is unproven. We can form an opinion, but opinions are not facts, right? So the energy of this particular gate says, okay, I have an idea, I have a hypothesis, or something that I want to check out, and so I am now at this point going to start the beginning of looking for the truth. Right? I'm going to look for the facts, and I'm going to look for what it is that supports my hypothesis. Now, gate 17 is sitting on the Ajna center, which is the center, it's the home of the mind, right? It's where the thinking comes from. It's where we compare and contrast energies, where memory recalls from. And the shadow here in this gate would be about opinions, getting stuck in being right and everybody else being wrong. the the theme in the Ashna Center is about certainty, right? And in this particular gate, there is not certainty. You're looking for it, right? You're looking for that truth that you're looking for the truth that is held up by facts and not just opinions. And we've all seen it. We've all seen this particular energy playing out in social media debates, in political dogma, and even family arguments where no one's really listening, everybody's talking and everybody has an opinion, right? But when we can soften opinion energy, then the gift emerges as farsightedness, being able to see out far, the ability to see the bigger patterns and the future possibilities. in the gene keys, the highest expression of the gate 17 is omniscience. And it's a universal knowing that sees beyond duality, like being able to stand at the tallest peaks and see the truth, even though all the worker bees and worker ants at the bottom are all, playing around with opinions and not with truth. And this is where vision comes into play. Opinions are like stepping stones, but vision is the river that carries us forward, right? Opinions do not. Truth carries us forward. It's also worth noting here that the gate 17 is sitting directly opposing the gate 62 and forms a channel. And what we have at the gate 62 right now today, the gate of preparation, is the planet Jupiter. And Jupiter moved there earlier in the week. And now every one of us, whether your chart is defined or not, have a defined Ajna and a defined throat via these transits. Jupiter forming the 62, Earth forming the 17, but it's a temporary connection, right? It's not like you suddenly are overwriting your human design, but the potential exists for you to utilize this energy of formulation. Right? We call it formulation. It's also called acceptance as a channel in traditional human design. And this channel connects mental clarity to practical structure, empowering us to turn anticipation into actionable plans or strategy, right? It's the preparation to prove the hypothesis true or not. And together, these two gates forming this channel foster our ability to organize insights and then to transform ideas into concrete steps, helping us to accept what it is that we need to prepare for with clarity and confidence, right? So, gathering up all your tools, as it were, or gathering up all your notes and preparing to test the opinion, to look for truth, right? And that is something that we really have a lot to learn about here because, everybody seems to have this idea of what truth is. And of course, that's varied by person to person. In any one room, if you're having a discussion about any topic, there are going to be many opinions. The point of the matter is, opinions might be just kind of akin to ideas, but they are not true until we can prove them true. So here's the dance. The dance is when judgment hardens, it becomes criticism, right? This is how the 17 up here in the Ajna is working with the 18 down here in the Spleen Center, but how also this channel of formulation is playing out for us over this particular weekend and going into the beginning of next week. Then, when opinions harden, they become dogma, right? No proof, just opinion turns into dogma. And together, judgment, criticism, opinions that harden into dogma create conflict, right? They lock us into a conflict where it becomes a bit self righteous, right? Where you are right and everybody else is wrong, or where your group is right and everybody else is wrong. But when we can soften that judgment into integrity and opinions can soften into farsight, something beautiful happens. We realign what's broken and expand it into visionary insight. The whole purpose of this particular human design week would be to do that. And this is the cosmic choreography, if you will, of this week starting today. The sun's instinct to correct or to bring things into alignment or realignment meets the earth's mind for the vision, what is possible, as opposed to the opinion of what you believe is right or wrong for that matter. All right. So, also, I wanted to show you that Jupiter and Saturn are both dancing in this energy this week. Saturn also made a gate change yesterday into the gate 36, which is over here on the emotional center. So you see that right here, it's hanging, right? That it's not really connected up to anything. And it actually only will define your emotional center if you have the gate 35 hanging already in your chart and it connects up. But I wanted to illustrate here how the dance gets even more interesting when we add Jupiter and Saturn in. So, for example, Jupiter is now in the gate 62. So we showed you the channel 17 to 62. And Jupiter expands clarity and detail here in this channel at this gate. It says, take your integrity and your vision and prepare the structures that can hold it. Prepare the container, prepare the experiment, right? Think of Jupiter as the architect here, organizing the blueprint for testing your truth, right? Or for testing the opinion to see if it stands the test of truth. Or does it need to be realigned during the period of time this is your experiment? Now, Saturn is back in gate 36. Remember, he is retrograde at the moment. The gate 36 is called the gate of exploration. And Saturn tests us here through new experiences. In quantum human design, we call this the gate of exploration. Uh, in traditional human design, it was more the gate of crisis or turbulence because experiences tend to create somewhat of a chaotic experience for us, at least in the beginning, right? As we're trying to get through whatever it is that's changing within. But it also says here, don't just plan the vision, go live it. You have to experience it, even if the opinion turns out to be false, right? Even if the experiment shows you that the groundwork was not correct, right? It's the challenger here, and it says that turbulence is part of growth, right? Having to experiment and explore is all part of this. So the sun and earth give us this dance of judgment and vision for the weekend. Jupiter gives us the clarity to prepare, and then Saturn gives us the courage to step into the turbulence and explore, right? So together, they're weaving this full bodied experience of transformation. And it's kind of a beautiful yet daunting um, week, right? Especially because we as people get so caught up in our beliefs, right? Thinking that we're right. And that this could be an even bigger issue this weekend as the sun moves into as the moon moves into the sign of Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, already a sign that is about self-righteousness, right? And a sign that can sometimes take our optimism, our growth and expansiveness and move it dead center at something that we believe is the truth, perhaps even. And then we get blinders and we don't see that there's a bigger truth, right? That there is something bigger that we could have embraced in all of this. So, as the weekend arrives, the moon today is in Scorpio. Later this afternoon, the moon will move off into Sagittarius, and that will bring us this burst of optimism and a craving maybe for adventure and the exploration that Saturn at the gate 36 brings. But the lunar energy will really encourage us to seek truth and to embrace possibilities, right? Possibilities and to look beyond our usual boundaries, beyond our usual beliefs, right? Because this is expansion energy primarily. And we're expanding our horizons. That's the purpose, to expand our horizons, whether through learning or travel or simply sharing with others and then shifting our mindsets to welcome fresh perspectives, right? That would be the highest expression of the moon in Sagittarius. But the lower expression, which we see all around us at the moment, is this self-righteous energy where people are taking their beliefs and they're not even, doing their due diligence to see if any of it bears up to truth, right? They just use it as this banner of truth that may or may not even be fact, right? It's very difficult right now to see to tease what's truth out from what's false. And the moon in Sagittarius with the gate 17 and 18 being defined is going to make that even more difficult. With the sun in the gate 18 realignment and the earth in 17 calling us, this is calling us to broaden our vision. Even if, we're doing that because we have a hypothesis or we have a theory, right? A hypothesis is an unproved theory. So we don't know yet what all the facts are. So what the key is the exploration to find out what's true and what's not true, right? Teasing it out. And preparing then to experiment with that truth to find out what is worth exploring and what is worth digging down into the depths to find what is the truth. And this is urging us to connect the dots, if you will, right? We can take all these different things, facts and figures and people's opinions and your own opinions and, all the, things that we hear. But unless we go through the process of connecting dots, we're just willy-nilly throwing out things out there to people, perhaps, or even to ourselves that have no proof. I have no proof. So this weekend, let curiosity kind of fuel your kind of cleanup or of the mind, your reframing of your forward momentum, your preparation and your steps. What are you going to do? But allow it to sort of be reframed. And the Sagittarian moon for the weekend invites us to integrate these cosmic shifts with an open heart and a spirit of exploration, not with the nitpicky judgment energy, right? Um, Now, let's kind of put this together with the post eclipse season, right? So the last eclipse in this series was on Sunday, the new moon in the sign of Virgo. And how is it that we're meant to take in this energy of this weekend and move through with what it was that was revealed during the full moon or new moon solar eclipse? Now, the sun in the gate 18 might say, instead of picking yourself apart or picking others apart, let the eclipse revelations that you had um, guide you toward integrity, being true to yourself. Ask yourself, what did the eclipse show you that's ready to be corrected with love, not judgment? With love, not judgment. And then with the Earth in the gate 17, the eclipse season tends to amplify our opinions, right? It seems like the rhetoric has gotten louder in all week long, right? That just these messages coming out of things that are happening, what people are doing, what people's opinions are, irregardless of whether they're facts or correct or even well thought out. Not for everybody. There are some people that have some well thought out ideas. But now ask, which of the stories are you ready to retire so that you can see the bigger pattern, right? Your trade this weekend should be about letting go of the old and opening up to what's new. And what is it that you need to let go of so that you can see the bigger picture, so that you can really engage the moon in Sagittarius in its real realm, which is the realm of possibility. Like, what if, right? Or how could this be, or better, or those kinds of questions. And then Jupiter in the gate 62, that gate called preparation, is about insight without structure leaking away, right? So we might be, letting go of some of the details in favor of seeing the bigger picture, but that might not be the right thing to have done, right? This is maybe a call for us to see all of the details and then build, the small systems that allow the vision to really take shape, to really get moving. So while you don't want to get so caught up in the details, right, that you can't see the bigger picture, you also don't want to get so big picture thinking that you miss something, right? The most obvious thing can get missed if you're not staying in a grounded way of being. And then Saturn in the gate 36, the gate of exploration, is telling us that integration isn't tidy, right? These moons really shook us. The lunar eclipse back in early September 7th, I believe it was, and then September 21st, new moon, solar eclipse. I mean, they were not neat and tidy. These were upsetters. These were game changers, and they upset our lives in some way, in some shape, right? In your chart, somewhere, this was taking place. And it doesn't mean that it has to be dramatic or traumatic, but it does mean something was being asked of you to shift, right? And that means that integrating that newfound wisdom with the current belief structure that you have and with the need to realign, that isn't tidy. It just doesn't happen easily sometimes. And there's some turbulence then in your life. So maybe even a crisis as you step into this new normal, right? What is that going to look like? And then courage here is necessary, but courage isn't the absence of fear, right? So you could still feel the fear. The spleen center is being defined by the sun. Maybe inside you're feeling like, oh, I this isn't perfect. This isn't the right time. This, it's you've got to really look at the impact that fear of perfection or not being perfect is going to play into your next steps. You're meant to move with maturity with Saturn here at the 36. Take one lived step at a time and let that step teach you what comes next, right? You don't have to see the whole, path, because as soon as you think you see the whole path, of course, a rock falls out and then you're thrust into the river and having to find a new path, right? So be careful of that. So think of this weekend as the cleanup, the reframe, the preparation, and the next step for what your insights were from the solar and lunar eclipses in earlier this month. This quiet choreography that can actually change your trajectory, right? But you got to take the time to look at that and to quiet the mind enough to be able to see what those next steps may be. All right. Let me say good morning to everybody and see how everybody's doing out there this morning. Good morning. And I have no idea what your name is, but good morning to you. Amy D, good morning to you. And hello to the next person whose name I also do not know how to say, but much love to you. TD Hawk, good morning. Julie, good morning to you. Happy Friday. And Teddy, good morning. Got you first on YouTube, then on Kindle, still not on iPhone, Facebook. Yeah, anywhere you go to YouTube or Facebook. If you go to Facebook on your regular profile, type living astrology up in the top left corner of the, where the search bar is, TJ, and it'll take you to this page and you'll be able to find us, find me very easily that way. Patty, good morning to you. Christine Buckingham, good morning. Happy Friday, J-Lo. And Christine says, open solar plexus, 36.2 Mercury in Pisces, half black line, halfway to an undefined throat. So, so, you know, if we look at an open solar plexus, Christine, you're taking in the energy of emotion from the people around you, from the transiting planets, from the people that you're a part of, from the collective, right? You don't even really have to be out there in the world to be feeling the feelings, right? Because of that open solar plexus. And you may misidentify those feelings as your own, but you really have to ask the question, is this mine? Now, with the gate 36 being defined by Mercury, your mind is already exploratory, right? Your mind is already, sort of concocting ideas and, taking in some inspiration from things that other people are feeling or doing or saying, and maybe wanting to make good use of it. Well, now you add Saturn to that Mercury that is sitting there at the gate 36. And what you have now is perhaps the need for strategy, right? Taking strategic action. What would that look like? Let's say you have an idea about something you want to build or create. Saturn's realm, of course, is building, and that would be very useful to help Mercury focus his energy on the plan, the strategy, the next steps, right? So I see that as pretty positive for you, but it's still hanging. And so you might still find yourself needing to be out and about with other people in order to get that inspiration rolling, right? So don't forget, with an open center, sometimes you really need other people around you, maybe different people than are usually around you in order to get inspired. Right. And that's true for everybody in your open centers, right? You're learning to be wise about that energy, whatever that energy is. Okay, so if your energy is about exploring a strategy for some new project, let's say, and you find yourself at a stuck point, yeah, go to the grocery store, go sit in the park, go to Starbucks. You don't really even need to interact with a bunch of people. Just being around their energy can be very helpful. But of course, it means that you also have to be wise about what feelings are yours versus what are not yours. Okay. I hope that makes sense, Christine. Please let me know. And natal Scorpio moon. There we go. We're finishing the Scorpio transit today, and that is probably a good thing, right? I don't know. The Scorpio moon sometimes so good for taking us into the depths, but it can be so intense sometimes. And, think about this. If you have open centers, and most of you probably do, right? You have some kind of centers open in your human design. When we get something like, the moon that is triggering depth and intensity and passion, um, it can sometimes fire up those empty or those open centers and leave us feeling like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I don't know what is up. Like I woke up this morning thinking, that I had nothing to say today. Why am I going on air today? Blah, 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 which made me irritable. I woke up too early. I got up too early. And yeah, so on and on. But it's through my open centers that I'm feeling this without being able to say, well, where's this coming from? Right. And why am I feeling this way? So I bet, and I've heard from several people this week who are like, what is up with the energies? Right. So looking to your open centers is going to help you clarify perhaps where it is that you're experiencing the other, right? Other people's energies, transits energies, the moon in particular, because it moves so quickly. We could be experiencing stuff all over the place and not getting that it's the moon that is the trigger. So be watchful for that. And GKX out there, manifesting generator. So lots going on indeed for those manifesting generators, because they're always in this process of the next idea and the next right action and multitasking, right? How does this fit in with the things that I'm already doing, with the places I'm already going, and all of that? Good, Christine. I'm really glad. Good morning, Natasha. Good to see you. And investigation two, Christine. I'm not sure. Maybe because that the Scorpio moon, right? That deep dive, looking into the investigation. Um, so let's talk about some maybe they're not optional, but let's talk about some after eclipse care, right? For every one of us, because all of us have come through the eclipse windows. One, clean up, right? Clean up any misaligned habit or pattern that you found in your life. Remember this, the eclipses were across Virgo and Pisces. Virgo, the routines, the healthcare, the well-being, the habits and routines that you've gotten into that are maybe not so supportive. The Pisces part of that was the lunar eclipse with the moon in Pisces, really looking at our beliefs and our spiritual self, our divine self. Do we really see ourselves as divine spirits with all of the divinity, the ability to be the co-creator of our reality? And those are the things, the habits and patterns that we need to realign with the sun now in the gate 18, the first gate of that spleen center. Then the second thing, reframe, right? One opinion you'll soften that will create a wider view for you, right? What is one opinion that you will soften that will kind of act as a gateway to seeing the bigger picture, right? To seeing how all of these things fit together. And then preparation or prepare. One system or checklist that you'll create, right? One pattern that you will look at, one next step that you will create that moves you toward what the opening was for you in the solar eclipse. What opened up? What was the next possible step? And then take a step, right? Take the step. One new experience that you'll say yes to, right? That's Saturn in the gate 36. What's one new thing that you will experience, that you will take the step toward? Not worried about whether it's the right step or the wrong step or the real next step or none of that mind stuff, just emotion here. What feels good to you? What next step feels good to you? And if you don't know, then you got to do some work. You got to tap in. What were some of the signposts along the way earlier in this month when those eclipses were lighting up uh, or darkening up, as it were, the night skies, right? And the day skies, if you were in some parts of the world. So here are some reflections for you this weekend. Um, where are you being judgmental of yourself, of others, of the world? And how can you shift that into integrity? How can you shift those judgmental thoughts without making yourself wrong or others wrong? How can you shift? And then maybe where are you holding on to opinions so tightly that it blocks you from seeing the bigger picture? Where if you could release that and step back, right, where you would see a bigger picture. Now, also asking yourself, what are you preparing for right now? And how can you organize the details to support that vision, right? Everybody, hopefully at some point here has a vision, something they want to create, something that they hope for, something that they want to move forward into. So how can you organize the details to be able to take the next steps, to strategize even a little about moving forward? And what new experiences are calling to you? And how can you meet them, the turbulence that's created by that, with courage instead of fear? Because often, we greet those new things with fear first. It's a human design thing, right? It's a human thing. We forget in the heat of the moment our divinity. And if we could remember the fact that we are source in motion on the planet, right? Housed within us is the divine. That, no step we take is wrong, really. It's all in service to the evolution of the soul or the evolution that, you're creating through your, physical being on the planet. And, what might that look like if you fostered an openness to failure, an openness to just the experience, right? Those of you who have the line threes in your human design, you're already experiencing the ups and downs, the traumas, the dramas, the fails and the successes and the trial by fire, the trial and error kinds of things. Those are always happening because you're always bumping up into life, wherever you have the line three, whatever planet that you have in the line three. And some of us, we fight against the experiences. We have this thought in our head that it has to be perfect and it has to be done in only this one way. And that's what we need to relax because the universe is sort of, well, what was it in the gene keys? Omniscience that we could come to, right? In the highest expression of the gene key 17, omniscience, being able to step back from and see from the point of view of the divine, right? Seeing that bigger picture, zoning in right into what it is that you can do that could be helpful in taking your next steps. All right, questions. Anybody out there want to know more about their human design, about their astrology? Anybody want to share anything about the eclipses and how it impacted you? Even if all you have to say is, I'm confused, right? I just want to hear from you and see what everybody's feeling out there. And in the meantime, I thought I would go back to my human design screen. So I'm going to do that real quickly. And nope, not that one, not that one. This one. Here we go. Because I think we could go a little deeper into this channel. Now, as I said, because the Earth is sitting at the 17 and Jupiter is sitting at the 62, every one of us has this channel called the Channel of Formulation in quantum human design defined. And that means that everybody has now a defined ajna and a defined throat, right? So it's temporary. In fact, it's temporary only until we get to the next week's human design, right? So we have like 4 or 5 days of this energy. So use it well, right? So I thought we could talk a little bit about what it looks like here. What's the theme in this channel? So there are some keynotes that we want to think about, and these you can just kind of jot down for yourselves, I think. This is a channel that is all about planning and preparing. So we've got preparation, we've got the plan, the strategy, all of that we're being asked to bring in this week. And it's about organization. It's got a Virgo feel to it, right? Organizing our thoughts, organizing the strategy. It also struggles with trusting. So that might be a little side theme. Check in with yourself. Where do you not trust yourself? Where do you not trust your next steps? Where do you not trust in your own power? And then there is maybe this need we feel to help organize others, which of course kind of isn't always your business unless somebody's hired you to be their organizer, right? So watch for your avoiding organizing yourself, but organizing others instead because you're avoiding, right? This is you avoiding. And then there are ideas that might be filtering in this week or this weekend in particular is this, most powerful right now, about what should be done. And I want you to watch the shoulds, right? Because if it's a should, that's almost like it's coming from outside of you somewhere, coming maybe from an old belief or an old model of thinking. It needs to be more like, what do I want to do? What could I do right now that would be exciting or would be, worth my time and lead me to my next plan? And by the way, this is an energy that we often say is projected energy. So that's how it is. Sometimes we're looking at others and we can see we maybe are projecting out our own need to get organized or our own need to have a strategy and to follow the strategy. But instead of taking care of ourselves, we start meddling in other people's lives. So we need to watch that. So the lesson The lesson that we're learning this weekend and this for this week is really to learn to plan with confidence. And having the awareness that all of life is an experiment. All of the things that we're doing in the end, it's love that matters, right? It's love that matters. It's not the dress you wore that day that you thought made you look fat. It's not the words that you said to somebody that later you went, oh, I should have said it this way, right? Critically judging yourself for what you've said. And the lesson here is to learn to trust that even if you're not prepared, you'll still be okay, right? That you'll still be fine. Right? You're not going to live or die off whether or not your strategy for getting new clients is going to work, right? You might have to course correct. You might have new incoming information that helps you course correct, but it really, you're going to be fine, right? Now, the unbalanced expression. So here's when, if we're operating in the shadow of this particular channel, we are afraid that we won't be ready. So maybe that leads us to over prepare, to panic, right? We're panicking because we don't think we know enough or we don't have enough, whatever, right? Fill in the blank. And we start then to overcompensate for what we don't know by being overly prepared, right? I do this sometimes. This is not even my energy in my chart, but I do this sometimes, thinking that unless I can get to every detail, you won't understand what I'm talking about. Right. So then I'm going and researching and pulling together all this information from all these different places just so you will understand me. That's what having the open channel can do for you or to you. In the mastery, right, the highest expression, when we get to the siddhi, the gift and the siddhi of this energy, it's the ability to gather information and the details that are necessary to explore the validity of your idea or of your hypothesis, of your opinion. And then it becomes the process of being masterful at testing your ideas, testing those opinions. Do they stand up to truth? And of course, the formulation of a hypothesis and the beginning of the experiment, because this is, like I said, one of the opening energies of the scientific method, right? The purpose of the scientific method is to take an idea, and to explore its validity by experiment, testing it, right? And then if you can reproduce the same outcome, then it moves from hypothesis or opinion into maybe theory or facts, right? So cool stuff. All right, so let's see here. Jolie, good morning to you. Kelly, good morning. I'm so curious about how the eclipses lined up with my north and south nodes, Virgo South and Pisces North. Does that just make the effect stronger in my life? Yeah, absolutely. And Kelly, you and I are going to talk about that today because I do believe you're on my schedule for the day. And I noticed this in your chart when I was preparing yesterday that your nodes line up almost exactly, right? The south node is in Virgo right now. The north node is in Pisces right now. And that would mean that you're coming into a nodal return, we call that. And, we have those about every 19 and a half years or so. So it's not obvious to us always when it's happening. But what it would mean is that you're really taking a look at what your north node in Pisces means for you. Like, where is it that you need to go? Pisces is the imagination. Pisces is creativity. Pisces is spiritual, right? Are you living out the spirit of compassion and acceptance and tolerance and love and universal love and oneness and those beautiful Piscean themes? And also, are you doing that at the expense of the Virgo end of things, which requires the grounding, the practical steps, right? The habits, the routines that support well being, right? And or are you too much into that part that you can't really reach out to the North Node? And if forgive me for 1 second, I'm gonna pull out your chart here, Kelly, because right now, off the top of my head, I can't remember how old you are, and so I wanna see where you are in the cycle. Kelly is here. So, Kelly, oh, yeah, so Kelly, you are really experiencing sort of this, movement to your north node, and we just talked about your human design last time. So, as you're looking at, your human design chart and the gate that I'm trying to find that human design chart. Because I want to know what gate your north node is in. Ah, there we go. So your north node is in the gate 36. Interesting. Right, your north node. So you're moving into an energy that would really be about the experiment. So we'll talk more about this today and how that plays out, if that's one of your questions. But then also from the life purpose side, you would be playing this out through spirit, the gate 25, right? So being inspirited and inspirational and, sharing universal love with people. So very interesting one. Um, 37. Okay, yeah, so 19 and 19 would be about 38. So you're definitely coming into this north node return. So I love that. I love that for you. Terry, good morning. Better late than never, he says. That's all right. Tom, my natal nodes are the exact opposite. So how does that play out? So the exact opposite means you're at the halfway point. So you are at the check-in. How am I doing in terms of getting to my north node? And getting to so you're saying that, wait, you have the Virgo north node and the Pisces south node, so the exact opposite. So how am I doing getting to the Virgo, and how am I doing as far as, applying myself practically in the world, and establishing healthy well-being and healthy living and a healthy embodiment of spirit, right? How are you doing in that path? So you're in the check-in with yourself about that, Tom. And yeah, it's it's one of those times in your life, I think, where you really could, you really maybe want to, I hate should, but maybe you want to step back out, just step back, you know, especially this week with when the energy of, trying to be non-judgmental about yourself is so apparent, and see, where am I in my life? Right? Am I living out that Virgo um, North Node? And what I would say for you, Tom, is, we've only done the first of your 3 sessions, so get that second one scheduled, because I think the first time we dealt with your astrology. Now it's time to deal with your human design, and maybe you'll get some insight as to how close you are to the gate, to achieving the energy, the highest expression of the gate that your north node is in. All right, good questions. Good questions. Anybody else out there with a question about their human design? If not, well, you can go ahead and think about that while I draw some cards. I dropped all the rest of the decks on the floor this morning, and I don't know that I can reach them. The one I did not drop was this one called Soul Coaching by Denise Lynn. And I think maybe, this is probably apropos. We all need some soul coaching right now with the way these energies are aligning. So let's see. I'll do a general card. And then if somebody wants me to draw a soul coaching card for them, I have a couple of extra minutes this morning. And the card I got is healing. Oh, what a beautiful card. Fairies are healing, right? And it is card 27, which is a 9. So we have healing energy with the fairies as our soul coaching for today. So let me find this card here. All right, so the card's meaning is healing is occurring. You're a natural healer. You are on the mend, and or a situation is being resolved. Have faith that it's happening. Your soul wants you to know this. Healing is natural. Everything in nature has the intrinsic ability to restore itself. You're a part of the world, so you also have this innate ability. Often, healing needs to occur on the inner planes before it can manifest on the outside. To assist this process, focus on what's great and let go of what isn't working or what's wrong. This is great wisdom coming after the eclipses, isn't it? Hold a vision of the solution that you desire. Be patient and trust that recovery is occurring in its own time and way. Nature is one of our greatest healers, so spend time with the trees, soak up the rays of the sun, and dance in the rain. And your affirmation is this: phenomenal healing energy flows through every cell in my body. Phenomenal healing energy flows through every cell in my body. Gotta love that. Great card. All right. Healing. Healing. Okay. So, yes, Julie, I will look forward to seeing you later this afternoon too. Who wants a card read? I- Nobody? Nobody wants a card read today? From the soul coaching deck? I'm going to just flip some cards here and wait for somebody to speak up. Um, okay. GKXT, I wish I knew your real name. So I will do this card for you. And the card you get is Flow. Ooh, this is a beautiful card too, Flow. And it is card number 21, which is a 3. So some creative energy here. So Flow, let's see what this means for you. Nahid. Nahid. I hope I said that right. But thank you for telling me your name. It makes it much easier to connect. Okay, so Flow. Here's your card's meaning. It's time to let go. You're entering a period of gracious ease and flow. All is unfolding perfectly and with good timing. Everything is falling into place because you aren't resisting the drift of the great river of life. Your soul wants you to know this, Nahid. When you're in a state of flow, you aren't pushing the river to go faster and you aren't swimming against it. You just let go of the shore and enjoy the ride. A Native American saying is, it's best to ride the horse the direction that it's going. If you aren't feeling the smooth currents of life, it might mean that you're trying to control, oops, you're trying to control situations in your life, or you're being self-critical or judgmental. The way to move into flow is through gratitude and appreciation and by allowing others to support and help you. Here's your affirmation, Nahid. The glory of the universe flows through me. I love it. The glory of the universe flows through me. Perfect. All right. Let's see. Oh, I got to go back here. Me. I'll ask. Kelly says, I want a card. And then I'll do one for Terry and then Tom. I'll just go down the line. I only have a couple more minutes though, so I'll get as far as I can. So this one is for Kelly Blau. And here is the card, Courage. Courage, right? This is a biggie because right now the energy is really about, are we going to step forward? Oh, God, we also have to remember that Mars is now in Scorpio. So as the moon leaves, Scorpio, Mars will take over there. And this is card number 13. So let's see what this says. The card meaning for you, Kelly. Throw your shoulders back, step forward, and take a risk. Be willing to listen to the beat of your own drum. Honor your truth, speak up for yourself, be impeccable in all of your actions. Your soul wants you to know, Kelly, that you have the radiant spirit of a warrior of light. This isn't the time to be timid and pull back. Don't allow yourself to be limited by your belief systems. This is the time to take action with passion and delight. Courage doesn't mean that you aren't afraid. Fearless means just that, fear less. Acknowledge that you're frightened and take action anyway. Face your anxiety and go beyond the boundaries of limited perceptions of yourself. You're a light bearer for others. Through your example, people find and act on their truth. So your affirmation is, I live life passionately and courageously. I live life passionately and courageously. Courage, courage. I love it. I hope that's meaningful for you. After Kelly was Terry. I don't know why you don't have me read cards for you at home because they're right here. I have more decks at home here. But you get, this is beauty, right? My Libran husband. You get the card of beauty, a very Libran theme. Beauty. And isn't that pretty, right? That archway. I just love that. Okay, beauty is card number 6. And its meaning is you're beautiful inside and out. Your sacred inner and outer space are radiant and glorious. No matter what your age, your loveliness is growing. Create outer harmony in your home environment, even in small ways, such as a vase of flowers, a scented candle, or clean windows, and your inner grace will glow. I love this card, Terry. Your soul wants you to know the more you see beauty around you in your environment, yourself, and your body, the more it will fill your life in all forms. Be hesitant to say anything bad about yourself or your body that's negative. Don't put yourself down silently or to others. Instead, affirm beauty and take time to adorn your body and personal space. Take a luxurious bath, read a book, have a massage, or create a home altar. Cherish yourself, and the luminescence within you and around you will glow. And your affirmation is I am deeply and profoundly beautiful. I am deeply and profoundly beautiful. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Tom. Let's pull a card for Tom today and see what ooh, Tom, believe. Believe, which is card number, I can't see it, 8, I believe. 8, believe. Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful card? Let's see here. Here's your card meeting, Tom. Believe in yourself. Have faith in magic and miracles. If you can conceive it, you can achieve it. One of the secrets of the universe is the power of belief. If you're able to imagine and believe that something good will happen, miracles can unfold. Expectations can act in both positive and negative ways, and your fixed thoughts and opinions about yourself have created your world and your experiences. If you've had an unpleasant history, this often creates negative beliefs about yourself and the world around you. Know that the past doesn't need to equal the future. Your new positive conceptions can create a fresh and exhilarating future. Simply believe that it's possible. Visualize and imagine your life as you desire it to be. And most important, feel how good it will be and hang on for a great ride. And your affirmation, Tom, is the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come when you believe. Believe, believe. Love it. Okay. TD Hawk. Let's do one for you. And then Amy and J-Lo. I'm just going to stay until I get Amy and J-Lo done, even if that makes my day get a late start. But I think it's importante. All right. So, TD Hawk, your card is Delight. Delight. Look at that. It looks like the maypole. We're looking at some beautiful energies here. Card number 14. A 5. Experiences. All right. So card 14, not 15. There we go. All right. Here's the meaning of the card for you, TD. Clap your hands with joy and let your inner child play. Be silly or play hooky and take a day off. This isn't this time to buckle down and get to work. This is when you should be madcap and spontaneous. Have fun. I like this card. um, Tamara, your spirit guardians are delighted when you're filled with childlike wonder, joy, and exuberance. When just one person experiences true delight, this joyous energy radiates outward like ripples in a pool, reaching even the farthest shores of humanity. Your pleasure can rejuvenate you and have a powerful healing effect on others. Here's your affirmation. I delight in everything in my world, and divine joy fills me. I delight in everything in my world, and divine joy fills me. Gosh, that's an awesome card. Okay. J-Lo, and then Amy. Okay, gosh, something's tickling my nose here. Affirmation. Maybe I need to hear that. Delight. Oh, J-Lo. Success. This one just stuck. 47, which is an 11. Success. So let's see here. The card's meaning is inner and outer success is coming your way. The gates of triumph are waiting to open deep and wide for you. Accept that you're already a winner, and even more victories will expand in your life. Your soul wants you to know, JLo, that being successful is a state of mind. The more you feel it, the more love, prosperity, fame, and fortune will pour into your life. If a situation knocks you over, get up and brush yourself off and discover what you've learned. You aren't a failure if you fall down, only if you stay down. So keep going and believe in yourself. Celebrate even the smallest victories that occur in your life. And here's your affirmation: success fills my life in ways beyond my greatest expectations. Success fills my life in ways beyond my greatest expectations. That's a wonderful message. And Amy D, let's get one for you. By the way, you'll notice hopefully there's a QR code up in the corner of my screen. That is something new that StreamYard is doing, and it links you to my website if you need to go schedule a reading or something. Amy, I love this card too. Abundance. Abundance. Look at that. And that is card number 1, the very first card of the deck. In soul coaching, that means abundance is number 1. All right, so let's read what this is about. Open yourself to receive. Avalanches of abundance are waiting to flood your being. Everything is blossoming and bearing fruit now. The prosperity you seek is yours. So your soul wants you to know, Amy, that abundance is your birthright and it's coming to you in many ways, including money, energy, time, and love. Have faith and release any fear of loss or lack, which are only perceptions. There is an abundance of everything. Give deeply and fully without fear, for the more you give, the more you'll receive. It's a universal law. The Creator desires that you prosper in all areas of your life. A windfall is coming. Align your vibration with the energy of that which you desire to manifest. Whatever you focus on will grow in leaps and bounds as you focus on gratitude for the abundance that you already have. Your prosperity will increase. Here's your affirmation: all my needs are met above and beyond my greatest expectations. All my needs are met above and beyond my greatest expectations. Wow. Dang, those are all such great cards. And, I know there are probably others that, would like to have a card reading too, but just think about this. We are all here together in this, and these cards are readings for all of us, not just for the one person that I read the card for. So awesome. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. It's been great. I will see you on Monday. We'll take a look ahead at the week and maybe even steal a look at what is up for us in October. In the meantime, take care, have fun. I'm going to a Mariners game tomorrow night. Yay! Not that I really care about baseball that much, but they're doing really well. And family is coming up to meet us because they're Dodgers fans, and that is who the Mariners are playing. So wish us luck and take care, everybody. Bye for now.